Out here, trust isn't optional. It's essential. That's why crew around the world rely on Asperton Insurance Advisors. Built by former yacht crew, we know the risks, and we know how to protect you. Medical emergencies, mental health, active lifestyles. We've got you covered 24/7. Discreet support, personal service, global reach. Asperton Insurance Advisors, designed for life at sea. Visit asperton.com today.
Welcome to your 5 minutes of self-care. So, I have not recorded an episode last week because I had to first really reflect upon what happened last week and how I will structure this specific episode and make it part of self-care. First of all, I would like to say that self-care does not just mean like taking care of your physical, your mental, emotional, spiritual, and your wisdom body. It's also your financial self-care, and it's also anything to do legally, and it's also your safety. And I may will rock the boat now by what I'm saying, but I have to agree with Rhea, and I have seen her post last week, and I thought, you know what? I like to contribute, but I need to be more aware and conscious on how I can contribute. So I just made some notes. If I look down, you've probably heard the name Paige Bell, a 20-year-old stewardess who was found murdered on board the motor yacht Far From It in the Bahamas last week. Her death shocked the industry, not just for its brutality, but because it revealed the silence that so often surrounds abuse at sea. Not long before that, another name came to light, James Jack McGruder, arrested in Florida after multiple women across yachting circles shared stories of sexual assault. Some happened in Palma de Mallorca, others were never reported, and yet he kept getting work. So why does this matter, and why does this matter for self-care? There's a reason why this happens and why these kind of men stay in circulation, or it's still within the system, and there's a glitch in the system. There are no mandated background checks, no universal crew reporting platform, no independent HR, and NDAs that often silence survivors more than protect anyone else. In this environment, you learn quickly to say nothing, keep your job, speak out, risk being blacklisted, but where does that leave us? I have worked in so many industries in my life, including oil and gas, engineering, communications agencies in developing countries. And as a woman, yes, we do feel a certain sense of vulnerability because we are still physically weaker. Sometimes we're not. And that's why we women tend to sometimes get really strong and very masculine and guarded. I'm saying this because it needs to be heard. Self-care does not just mean that you're taking care of this vessel. It means also you take care of your safety. And you also take care of the safety and awareness level of your surroundings. And when we step into fear because we feel like someone has an upper hand over us, power over our lives, our livelihood, our job, we tend to want to turn around and not see what really happens. This happens actually in every industry. So even in oil and gas, it happened to me that I got so severely bullied and mobbed with racism and I still remember that. But we had procedures in place, and it was corporate, that of course it was not in the interest of the company that I would go and take legal actions. So they already put these legal actions in place for me. But what was funny, and it's actually not funny, what was even worse is I came from the UAE, and I was so used to, at that time, 2008, 10, to be spoken to me this way for so many years, but I had to go to a different industry, a different country, to realize it was not correct. And sometimes we don't realize that small things that they happen, they are actually just small signs and symbols of something severe happening behind the background. Why am I saying that? If you see someone gets bullied, someone gets sexually harassed, assaulted, say something. Yes, say something. The NDAs on board of a vessel, or when you are signing an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, does not overrule criminal law. But get your rights in check. Go to a lawyer and speak to someone. I actually did some research, and I was just taken aback what is actually really going on in this industry. There was a survey by PYA in 2018. Over 800 people got questioned. 40% have reported that they have witnessed sexual assaults or they have experienced it. I mean, 40%. Seriously? And then I'm looking at, and actually done by their colleagues, done by their own colleagues, living on board of a vessel in a confined space, being offshore. How more vulnerable can you feel or be? And people don't report it, don't say anything. They don't say anything. And I understand what fear is like, yes. But understanding also what is right from wrong, to understand what is the right thing to do when you witness it, that you say something. Because as we can see, unfortunately, with Paige Bell, lives can be lost, and it does not need to happen. That really does not need to happen. NDAs is just a piece of paper. If you get threatened, blackmailed, because of course the people who own super yachts are apparently so powerful. And even if more people have witnessed it on board, you come together and you speak up and you speak out. Fear is just an illusion when it comes to that. And I still, living and working on a yacht isn't just a job. It's where you sleep, where you eat, where you breathe. So when something unsafe happens, a look, a touch, a comment, or worse, your body stores it. And you will stop feeling at home in your body, because it's not correct that someone touches you. It's not correct that someone emotionally, mentally abuses you, physically abuses you. And that can invoke trauma. So it really doesn't have to be this way. So I urge really the captains and the crew, verify and do a global background checks on people. Independent third-party company complaint bodies exist, and reform on the NDAs to make clear clauses to protect the crew, and training that goes beyond how to fold a napkin. Sorry, that sounds harsh, but the real education about boundaries, consent, and mental health. And why, there's also often support of different yacht crew help. Is one Safer Waves, Nautilus 24/7, Seize the Mind. And why is self-care so important? Because once you become actually aware of your own trauma, to understanding that it is not correct that someone touches you this way, it is not correct that you get spoken to this way, but you become aware. But if you're traumatized, you feel like it's normal. It's normal that people manhandle you, or it's normal that people speak to you, but it's not normal. But you need to first become so aware and conscious of that. I am also coaching at the moment industry professionals in top-notch high positions within the yachting industry who get bullied. Like serious professionals, career-driven professionals who get bullied on a daily basis. And because of their own trauma that they have experienced as a child, they don't even realize how severe the bullying is until they actually step out, observe, gain clarity and a perspective, and then they realize, actually, yeah, this is not right, this is not correct. And it's still happening a lot in this industry. And I actually literally have to coach these professionals on understanding, hey, this is not correct. No. Because you feel like this because you have the fear of not being good enough, hence you want to prove yourself to a person. I remember very well that happened to me ever since, when I was 25. I remember I was based in Cameroon, and I arrived in Cameroon, and my director that night made an attempt on me, and I pushed him away. And what happened the remaining months living in Cameroon with him and another colleague, he degraded me from the position, got a new girl in who was obviously willing to do whatever. And I stayed still, but I should have left. I should have pulled myself out of that project because it was dangerous. But I felt like I needed to prove myself I was worthy and I was good enough to do this job. I was professional enough. Until I realized now, what the heck were you proving? But this happens, and it happens at any age, and that's why we need to become aware. And once we take care of our vessel, of our body, become strong in our vessel, do the movement practices, become more connected to our body, understanding what is normal, how people treat our body or not, how we are touched, how this is our private space, and no one can just enter this private space with our consent. I just had a guy telling me last week, I can feel that you're guarded. I'm like, of course. First I was taken aback and I was thinking, dude, I'm not guarded. But then I'm like, of course you're guarded. Because you're protected. I live here in Thailand by myself, and I mean thousands of guys here, but I am protected, of course, because I don't sleep around, and I'm not going to invite to sleeping around. I'm not going to change who I am. But this is me, my journey, and of course I'm protected. But once I trust someone, I will open up. The guard will drop. And especially when you are a highly sensitive empath, especially if you have experienced any form of abuse, it is okay to be protected and guarded. And it's okay to have a boundary. And it's okay to actually, that consent is normal. And yes, we sometimes believe that, especially when you're working on a vessel like that, you don't want to be blacklisted, you still want to continue getting jobs. Of course. But there's more and more happening in this industry, and that's why it's great that people like Rhea are out there who actually bring it out to the open. That all of us, the speakers of Yachting International Radio, are very conscious and bring it out in the open. So self-care means once you become stronger in your body, connect to your body, connect back within, and listen within what is right or wrong, you automatically will take care of yourself financially, legally, and in cases like that, and knowing when to speak up and not to speak up, and be able to also let go of fear, because it's just an illusion. Especially perpetrators or the people in power like you to stay in fear, to not say something because it's not in their interest to rock the boat. But that's not going to continue anymore. There is a shift and there's a change in this industry. I'm speaking about this industry, but hey, listen, this happened to me in oil and gas, that happens in PR, that happens in finance, that happens in any kind of industry. But this specific one is because you live on board a vessel in a confined space, and you need to feel safe with your colleagues around. And if you do not feel safe, do not think you need to stay on that boat. Don't think you need to keep this job. Nothing in the world is so important than your own well-being, your safety, your health, and your life. So it took me a while to actually be able to say this out loud, and because this is not normally what I do, because I'm very spiritual and whatever, love and light. Yeah, I'm not really. So I like to speak up my sincere condolences to Paige Bell's family and loved ones. And for those of you who knew her, know her, and you know something, speak up. Namaha, namaste.
If your brand belongs in the heart of the yachting world, this is where it happens. Yachting International Radio reaches over 1 million yachting professionals and enthusiasts every month, with 77 million impressions, 220,000 social followers, and 74,000 podcast subscribers. Our hosts are insiders, crew, captains, CEOs, trusted voices shaping the industry. This is targeted, high-impact advertising in a luxury niche. Visit yachtinginternationalradio.com/advertise. Your audience is already listening.